Wrong one. There we go.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
How's it going? Hope everyone is doing well on this Friday evening. End of the month.
Another one gone.
Another one
They
gone.
are flying by.
End of May.
End of May. We've been busy.
We have been busy.
It's absolutely flown by.
Yes.
Lots of cool new stuff coming to everyone.
Lots of stuff coming. So yes, we will go through a little bit of all of that a little later on. But if you are new around these parts, you haven't done a Smash Grapes wine tasting before, please.
Hello, welcome.
Welcome. Yeah, firstly, welcome. That's a good point. But secondly, don't feel like you need to wait for us. Your wines are labelled up number 1 to 6. 4, 5, 6 are your reds. So if you haven't taken them out of the fridge yet, go and grab them now. Put them near somewhere warm. You know, that won't do them any harm. Get them up there. You don't really think you want any of these ones cold, really. You know, let's try and get them all.
Get the reds up to at least room temperature.
Yeah, let's get them room temp. And your other wines, feel free to get wine 1 poured out in a glass. And you know, don't wait for us. Cheers.
Cheers.
We'll have a little swig. See what you think. We have the YouTube chat is obviously open, and we'll keep as best an eye on that as we can. But we do also have Slido if you've used it before. Slido is our polling, and it also does some Q&A as well. You can head over to slido.com and put in the event code SG Wine Tasting, or if you are, you know, a bit of a tech whiz, you can scan that QR code that is on screen now. So I'll give you a couple of seconds in case you want to whip your phone out and scan that. Otherwise, yes, head to slido.com and put in event code SG Wine Tasting. You can ask us questions, and please do. The more questions you ask, the longer the evening takes.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a whole bottle of wine each to get through here, guys. If you've got a kit to yourself, that's a whole bottle of wine. If you're sharing a kit, you're splitting one with your partner. It's a fair bit of wine. If you want to go at a crazy pace, stay quiet, and we'll get this done and dusted in no time at all.
Absolutely.
But we don't really want to do that. So if you want to slow us down a touch, please ask questions. It makes for a much more interesting evening. And also, we don't want to listen to me prattle on all night.
I've literally been listening. I've been listening to this man's dulcet tones for hours.
Yeah, we've been recording a lot of videos today, haven't we?
So many videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm almost had enough of talking about wine. Should we do beer instead? We got any beers in the fridge?
Well, we could. Yeah, let's just forget the wines. Forget the wines. Nip down the shop. No, so yeah, it's good as well. We ask a couple of polls. We ask you. We're not going to tell you what kind of things you should or shouldn't be tasting. You know, there's going to be no essence of decaying forest floors or, you know, scent of rose petals.
No trick questions,
no
nothing
trick
like
questions,
that. No right or wrong answers.
We genuinely are interested when we ask you what you're tasting, just to hear what kind of things you think. It shows you how subjective, you know, wine tasting can be. But also, as we go through the night, we go from things like raspberry and vanilla and oak to things like a soft Dame Helen Mirren and things like that. You know,
vintage. Was it vintage Helen Mirren last week?
It might have
last
been.
month?
Yeah, something like that. Helen Mirren made a couple. We had a big.
Pops up every now and again.
Do you know what? Whether it's the same person or it could just be one of those.
That's a new flavour. That
could be a new flavour that everyone is into for their wine. Right, there we go. Anyway, so number 1, get it poured, get it in your glasses. We give everyone a minute or two to join. You can also, please, take a little picture of yourself, your setup with your wines, with your food, with your snacks.
Show us what you got going.
Throw it on to the social medias. And let me just check. Yes, if you can share it on Instagram or Facebook. Make sure you tag us. So send it to at Smash Grapes on Instagram, or type our page in the comment on Facebook and use the hashtag TBYB. You'll get up on the screen. We love to see your little setups as well.
Oh, look,
oh, there we are. Yep, there we are. Yeah, so you get on the screen. We'll show you there. And you could be in for a chance of winning a bit of Vino as well. So do whip your phones out and do a bit of social.
Don't forget to tag and hashtag.
Must tag and hashtag. And if you're using Instagram, stories and reels don't work. Got to be a post.
Got to be a post.
We've got to be good. If we're not good enough for the grid, you ain't in for a chance of winning. Right.
Say hello on the YouTube chat, somebody. I'm starting to feel like nobody's out there, Dan.
I know. Well, I know. I literally just opened the. I opened it up just to check we were broadcasting, and look,
there we are.
There we are. We're there.
We are broadcasting.
We are.
You are out there, folks.
We're there. We're there. There are people on. So yes, you feel free to use the chat. As I say, you can use Slido for that as well. It is slido.com Slido.com, event code SG Wine Tasting, or you can use the QR code there. Roger Williams is in the chat.
Hello, Roger.
Roger, good news for you, my friend. The Moreo Mencia is coming back in stock very, very soon. Roger is a fan of the Mencia, I believe. Yes.
He'll be able to get himself a Spanish kit.
Listening intently, says Anonymous. There we go. See, and when you use the chat, there you go. Let the fun commence. Hi.
I was getting worried for a second. I thought we were just talking to dead air.
Chris Williams is here. Always
Chris.
here, Chris. Lovely to have you with us again. Right. Roger says fab. He's excited.
Roger.
Hi all, say Tracy and Kev. Right, let's get going then.
Shall we start?
Yes, number one.
Oh, I need some more. What a shame.
Oh, he's tearing through this. Right, number one. We're here. What's Beano? Yeah. Right. Okie doke.
Do you want to put something up on the wall, a question or something, whilst I chat?
There are no questions on the wall right now.
What you're tasting?
That. Yeah. Okay. Right. So if you've got Slido out, which I know you have, where are we? What are you tasting? There we go. Launching a little poll for you. Give mine one. You've already been having a few sips. See what you're getting, and just interested to see what you say. Sniffy McGee over here. Don't worry about that. As long as it's got a hole in one end, just get it in your mouth and get it going.
Sorry, I am really enjoying this one.
He's gone proper wino on this one.
Yeah, so actually it's kind of, is it a theme across all of, no, it's not a theme across all of the wines tonight, but 3 of the wines are sort of a nod to sort of more famous, well-known, established regions, which is not something we would normally do. If you've been here a few times now, guys, you'll know that we tend to go for unknown grapes, unknown regions, the little guys that are perhaps not heard of at so much, and we love to champion those. But also we do get loads of questions from you guys about like how to get the best from those popular regions as well, and that's great as well. You know, we're not saying don't buy Bordeaux or don't buy Burgundy, but if you are going to buy those types of regions of wine, they're not what we're doing tonight, but if you are going to buy those types of regions, we can also help you with that, and that's exactly what we're going to do with this wine.
Very good, very good.
So
apple, gooseberry, sweet apple, lime, pear, pink grapefruit, Marlborough, peach, lime, free. I think that's supposed to be fresh.
Fresh. Yeah.
Someone's just
gooseberry is great to see. Yeah. Very nice.
As you can see on the screen, the more people who then start throwing things in, the words get bigger. So yes, gooseberry, apple, lime. They are all they're all featuring pretty highly.
Loire Valley question mark.
I think someone that might have opened their cards.
Cheeky.
Keep the cards closed. Keep the cards close to your chest. Keep those until the event's over. You've had a bottle of wine, and next morning you're like, what was number 1, 2? Yeah, keep those for that.
Okay.
Right.
So yes, correct. Whoever that person was who was cheating, or just extremely.
I mean, they could palate. They could just be.
Could be a professional.
Could be a professional.
We could do it in a professional around it. To be honest with you. We are in the Loire Valley, absolutely northern France. But it's northern, slightly further down than say Champagne region. Northern France, Loire Valley, very very famous wine region. A very famous wine region, and in particular for some of those more premium white wines. In particular, 2 names that often crop up. Sancerre is a Loire Valley white wine, and Poulet Fumé is a Loire Valley white wine. What do those 2 places have in common? They are places, not grapes for a starter. We're not talking about grapes when we talk about Sancerre or Poulet Fumé. They are little regions, little villages that are particularly famous for making high-end Sauvignon Blanc. That's right, Sauvignon Blanc. That's what we're drinking this evening as well. This is a Domaine de 7 Lieues Touraine Sauvignon Blanc. Bit of a mouthful. 7 lieues means 7 leagues. It's actually a combination of 7 different winemakers who are 7 leagues apart, which is an old measurement that they used before the metric system. That's kind of irrelevant. Touraine is the really important bit here, guys. Touraine is a smaller region within the Loire Valley. There are some famous places in Touraine. Chinon, you may have seen in a restaurant, on a wine list, or in the supermarket. Chinon is a famous red wine making region from Touraine. Vouvray is a famous region in Touraine, great for Chenin Blanc. All Vouvray is Chenin Blanc, but Touraine mostly is famous for great Sauvignon. And actually, it's a fantastic alternative if you want to drink Loire Valley White, but you don't want to break the wallet. The Sancerres and the Poulet Fumés, particularly pricey. If you want to splash out on those, give them a go. They are very tasty, but Touraine delivers all of the same sorts of flavors. What are those flavors? Well, what makes a Loire Valley Sauvignon Blanc Loire Valley Sauvignon Blanc? Well, that's a bit of a mouthful as well. super lean. Lean is the sort of the wine word we use. Lean, yeah. And what we mean by that is there is fruit flavour in there. You guys had apple, you had gooseberry, which is a classic for Sauvignon Blanc, citrusy flavours. And they're quite muted and they're quite clean. And actually it's basically just crisp and fresh. Not overly tropical or too punchy or powerful like, say, a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, but very clean, crisp, lean flavour. The other little signature for these types of wine, we don't often at Smash Grapes talk about the effect of soil on the flavour of a wine, because generally it's unproven and it's mostly BS the way soil affects flavour. Nobody's actually really sort of nailed down what it is about the connection between soil and grapes that would possibly change flavour. But in the Loire Valley, they have extremely chalky, high mineral soils. And I reckon you can taste that in the wine. There's a stoniness, or what you might say a minerality in the wine. Bit technical. But
yeah, I mean, unless I'm going to go and get a mouthful of pebbles down at Southend, I don't pick that up myself. But you know, it's.
I guess the other way to describe it is, do you know, like when you water in the garden and you might water like a pebbly area and then it has a smell to it, like a stony smell? No?
Absolutely not. No. But hey,
just me.
Someone with a refined palate, clearly. Whoever guessed it was Loire Valley before, probably. Yeah, they probably pick up.
Anyway, yeah, we've started a bit highbrow, but I thought if you know, you guys out there do sometimes mention that you like a Sancerre or something like that, and I thought I'd stick this one out there because Touraine is a great alternative.
We get Sancerre quite a lot when we ask people what their go-to white is. And again, it's one of them. We get Sancerre, we get Chablis, don't we? A lot.
Yeah.
Sancerre is Sauvignon Blanc. Is it Chablis that's Chardonnay?
Absolutely.
And so you get a lot of people who are like, oh, classic. I don't drink Chardonnay, but they love a Chablis. So.
Yeah, I think possibly people who drink Sancerre might not have known it's Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah. A couple of questions coming in. Chez, not bad for a French Sauvignon. So we've got what have we got here? What food would you match this with? Just had it with a paella, and it was amazing. So I don't know if they tucked into wine one while they're having dinner.
They just like rustled up a paella.
Excellent strategy. That just start with one while you're having your dinner, like that. Food. What food?
Well, so this is super lean and clean. So really, it's a patio wine. Drink it nice and cold in the sun. Doesn't need much. Touraine, Loire is the home of goat's cheese, chèvre goat's cheese. If you can stand the stuff, I love it. Sauvignon Blanc from this region and goat's cheese are a perfect match. Both very high acidity. Goat's cheese is high in acid. This white wine is high in acid. They go really well together. Any white cheese actually doesn't have to be goat's cheese, like a mozzarella or a feta or something like that.
So with the goat's cheese, would it matter if it was a hard or a soft goat's cheese?
I don't know. I mean, it's mostly soft. You get a few hard goat's cheese.
Yeah, the ones with the rind.
Yeah. The chèvre is soft, isn't it? It's like it's like a cloudy one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like eating cloud.
Nice. Jason says delicious. Nice, 12%, so hangover light as well.
Hangover light, absolutely.
Yep. What are the questions we got? Someone agrees with you. Saddles and paddles. Like the smell when it rains on hot stone.
Thank you, Saddles and Paddles. That's exactly what I meant.
Yeah. This came from Anonymous. What vegan wine? Isn't all wine vegan? No, it's not. You'll notice that we do put that on our wines when we describe them. We put it on the website. We put it on the info cards we send out as well. Just like in the process of making beer, when they use yeast to ferment and create the alcohol, they use a product called isinglass, or they can use albumin from egg yolk as well to filter that yeast off. Now, there are lots and lots of plant-based alternatives that are just as good and just as cheap. So that is the difference between a wine that is vegan and that isn't. One has had an animal product used in the filtering. There's no animal product in it, but it's used in the process of filtering, which would mean technically it is no longer vegan. I think 4 or 5 years, the whole entire wine industry will be vegan.
In the last couple of years, it's gone from like, make sure you check if it's vegan to like, you can almost guarantee now. So I think almost all of our wines are vegan. I can't remember the last time we put a wine on the store and was like, oh, that's not vegan. How strange. So pretty much all of ours are vegan. It's just the way everybody's moving. I don't know that for sure, but I imagine the vegetable-based ones are probably cheaper. Yeah,
and obviously when when you're working with wineries as well that are trying to be more sustainable, obviously anything that doesn't use an animal product is inherently more sustainable. So yeah, there we go. That's number 1. Get it drank, get it out your glass. Get pouch number 2 ready and raring. You are still on the white pouches here, so the yellow labels. Keep the questions coming in. We will... the cheddar cheeses. A few of you got cheddar cheeses. Some of you got olives and our classic ET pretzels. Cheddar cheeses seem to be polarizing.
Oh, really?
Cheeses, yeah.
Those-
Someone does not like them. Other people love them.
Scent are minging. Oh dear.
Yeah.
And are going down well here.
I just think any of those hard cheese snacks can be polarizing.
I just had some, and I can't decide if I like them or not. I like them enough that I ate all the big ones at the top, and then I looked down at the dust in the bag, and I thought, I don't like you enough to go there.
I can't get enough of them. The only ones I struggle with are the ones that have got like the black truffle and stuff in them. They can
Black
be a bit.
truffle.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's truffle ones.
Premium.
I know. There's truffle ones, and there's like rosemary and caramelized onion ones as well. They're all a bit.
The
can
olives, though, are
Yeah,
very
the
nice.
olives
Very,
are
very
very
nice.
good. Yes, they are very good. What have we got? Nice drinking wine, but wouldn't buy it. Bit dry at the end. There we go. Right, number 2. Get it poured out. Keep your questions coming. The pretzels, they do look like teddy bear heads. We had E.T.'s face as well.
E.T.'s face,
And I agree with that. That was pretty good. 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
Right, so while you're having a little drink of number 2, I am going to ask you what you're tasting. But first off, we mentioned it before, we do like to ask what kind of wines and grapes and etc. you go for. So when it comes to white, just launched in the poll there on Slido, what kind of wine you generally go for. So remember, if you haven't joined Slido yet, you can scan that QR code, or you can go to slido.com and enter the event code SG Wine Tasting to get involved. Straight in with the Chardonnay. Sam's there. Sam's with you.
Love a bit of Chardonnay.
Love the Chard. Yeah, I mean, that's again talking about the cheesies being polarizing. Chardonnay is pretty polarizing as well.
Yeah. Oh, Chardonnay just grew. Somebody's backing the Chardonnay. Chardonnay, yeah. I mean, we do hear a lot of people say anything but Chardonnay, but then I would say we're sort of there's maybe a movement because every month that we do this, we get more people saying Chardonnay. So
either your life's mission is working, and you're converting people to Chardonnay, or it's
getting better. Yeah. Chardonnay is a great all-rounder, and it's the most widely planted white grape in the world. The thing about Chardonnay is it can pretty much cope with any climate, so it is grown anywhere. But as a result, because it's in different climates, and climate, as you'll know if you've been with us before, is the most important factor for the flavour of wine. Because it can cope with all types of weather, it ends up with all types of flavours. So Chardonnay is ridiculously varied. I mean, if you try even 100 Chardonnays, you've not tried enough Chardonnays to know you don't like them all.
Yeah, it's been overtaken now by Salvi B.
Oh,
Salvi B's taken in Pinot Gris, Vino Verde, Viognier, Albarino's up there as well, White Rioja, Tesco's cheapest.
Somebody showing off with Sauvignon Gris.
Oh,
very unusual.
That might be the Loire Valley taster right there.
Yeah.
Right. Anyways, number 2, white wine 2. What are you tasting? Let us know. Just about to launch that. Jason in the chat loves the cheesies as well. So big fan. I think I do enjoy the cheese snacks, but I do understand why some people are unsure of them. I think they're because they dried, they're so concentrated. Yeah, it's an extreme cheese. It's extreme cheese. Right. Slight fizz, citrus, spice, pear drops.
The slight fizz just surprised me, actually. I tasted a little bit earlier. This is the first time I've had a big mouthful, and I was like, oh, hello. There is a slight fizz, absolutely. Let's talk about slight fizzes then, whilst you guys are drinking that, and to keep popping the words up, guys. So, somebody at the end there who wasn't so keen on the SOV mentioned about it having a dry finish. What does dry mean? Well, dry technically means how much sugar is in the wine. So if it's dry, it has a certain amount of sugar in. If it's medium dry, it has a certain amount of sugar in. If it's sweet, it has a certain amount of sugar in. That is a fixed scale. It's not negotiable. It's not down to opinion. It's like grams per litre. And if we had a chart to put up, we'd put one up, but it would be super boring. But it is grams per litre of sugar. So you can't argue with that. Most of the white wines, park reds for now, but generally most of the white wines and all wines that we drink are in the dry category when it comes to grams per litre. So if you're a regular white wine drinker, and you pop down the supermarket, you put 6 wine bottles in your basket, they'll all be in the dry category, for sure. Actually, there are very few mediums and certainly even fewer sweets, unless you happen to be shopping in the dessert wine section. That dryness, though, sometimes can be confused with something different. That's on a different scale, and that is acidity. Acidity in wine is on a different scale to sugar. They sit separately from each other, but they are in tandem to each other in a certain sense. Acidity is a natural occurring thing in wine. It's a fruit. It has natural acids. Grapes obviously have natural acids in. Cool climate wines, there is lots of acid in the grape. And then as they get riper, you've heard me say this before, the acidity goes down and the sugar goes up because the grapes get riper, the natural acid comes down and then they get ripened and the fruit generates more sugar. So they are related to each other, but they are very separate. Acidity is what makes a wine thirst quenching. It's what gives you that sort of drying feeling in the mouth, you know, that sort of puckering feeling that makes you want to drink more, but makes you feel satiated by the wine.
Satiated?
Satiated? Yeah, where did that come from?
Flipping
Just
heck.
because we've been talking all day, I'm just pulling out all the words now.
Yeah.
So yeah, acidity is what makes wine feel thirst quenching and also like zingy and citrusy. And sometimes people say, I love a dry white wine, when what they really mean is they like that zingy acidity, that refreshing factor. That's what's going on here. We did bring it round to something actually relevant.
We did.
The fizz. The slight fizz. This guy is so high in acid, it's got a zippiness which is creating the sensation of fizz, like a lemon sherbet. We know that a lemon sherbet isn't carbonated in any way.
Well, we've got a flying saucer.
Flying saucer.
Flying saucer. There we go.
Absolutely, yeah. Sherbety. We know that sherbet isn't carbonated.
Yeah.
It's acid that makes it fizz.
We've got sherbet. We've got flying saucers. Sherbet dab. Salty. You know, someone else saying, you know, it's a bit bland, nothing jumping out for them. Again, it just shows like it's all just
different
subjective.
palates.
It's all different palates.
Depends how many cheeses you have.
Exactly. It could be that ham and cheese has also made its way onto the taste.
Ham and cheese.
Ham and cheese. Yes.
Right.
Right. So, where are we? What are we drinking then, Sam?
Okay, so this is Quinta del Alorna Vinha Branco, and it is from Portugal. Portuguese white wine for you. Vinha Branco. Branco is the word for a. Slightly. I know it's not particularly in focus.
Yeah.
Branco is the word for white in Portugal. The grape here is Verdejo. Verdejo, it is a native grape to Portugal. It only comes from Portugal. There is a grape in Spain called Verdejo with a J. They are not the same. They're not related. This isn't like a Shiraz Syrah situation where it's just a different name. They are separate from each other. Verdejo, yeah, native grape to Portugal. We don't see a lot of still wines from Portugal, not a huge amount anyway. The industry of winemaking in that country has been mostly dominated by port making for such a long time. So most of the winemaking, not this wine, we'll come to this one in a second, but most of the winemaking happens in the Douro Valley, in the centre of the country. That valley is a river that runs all the way up to Porto. And so all of the grapes and the wine growing that's happened there for centuries has gone to make port for, you know, British companies like Taylor's and Graham's and Sandeman's and all that sort of thing. In the last few years, we've seen a movement away from that, supported by the Portuguese government. So winemakers have stopped growing grapes for the port industry. That monopolisation has been released, and they're growing them for themselves and releasing their own wines under their own names, and they are fantastic. Mostly native grapes. Christ, the Portuguese native grapes are difficult to pronounce. Mostly blended though, so you'll just see Tinto and Branco. Nothing wrong with that. Fantastic quality wines. This is single variety Verdejo. We're actually not in the Douro, which is in the centre. We're a bit further down south on the River Tagus or Tejo, which is just inland from Lisbon. So if you know where Lisbon is, you know Lisbon is on a sort of a mouth of a river, and that is the River Tagus. Why is the river relevant? Well, we've just talked about how high acid this white wine is. It's zippy, it's fresh, and it's got all that zinginess to it. It's 12%, so low alcohol, which again indicates that it's a high acid, cool climate white wine. To generate this level of acidity and zinginess, we need a sort of cool climate that, you know, that Loire Valley Sauvignon might have, or something else from a more cooler country. Well, hang on a minute, we're now like Lisbon area of Portugal. That's pretty far south, it's pretty warm. How is that being achieved? Well, having the warmth is great for creating fruity flavours, and I think you guys threw up quite a few fruity flavours on the board there. But to maintain acidity, we do need a cooling effect, and that is from the river. Any body of water will cool.
We've had a couple of notes as well here. You definitely might have put a different location, maybe, on some of the cards.
Oh, yeah.
The cards.
Sorry,
if you have
about
opened
the
your cards, do say the Languedoc in France.
I think that's because I've copied and pasted from the previous card and not changed the region.
Accept our apologies.
Sorry.
But we do also ask, try not to look at the cards
Mm.
so that you can taste blind. So you don't
Who's
get.
looking at the
Oh,
cards?
we've got so many people looking at the cards now. Just so that you don't get any unconscious bias involved, especially if you're unsure of, you're one of those people who maybe, oh, I don't like that wine or I don't like that. It's good to try things blind, So try and keep the cards away. But yes, there was a printing error on the card.
I've done a lot of cards this
Yeah,
month.
someone's asked as well, what does quinta mean? And it's a farmstead.
Yeah, quinta is just the word for vineyard or farm or, like
Farmstead.
Yeah.
What have we got? Prefer this to number 1. Cards say France. Yes. Apologies. Not bad, but not a patch on Porter 6, says Barbara Williams. Never tried a Porter 6. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I've tried it a few times. It's nice.
Is it?
Yeah.
Nice. Prefer this to number 1. There you go. What does quinta mean? Yes, farm/vineyard. It's divided us. Tracy likes it, but Kev doesn't.
Yeah, high acid white wines are, you either love them or you don't really. That zinginess, that citrusiness, some people love. People want it as racy as possible. Some people, they say battery acid. It's just not for them.
Yeah, not for me. Not for me. I mean, I'm getting used to it. But for me, one of the reasons why I didn't drink white wine originally, was because I was drinking shit.
Yeah.
But it was also because I just felt it was too astringent, and high acid for me is not in a white wine. It's not like the super enjoyable thing. I do prefer them slightly on the bigger, bolder scale. Where a little bit more sugar in there, which is strange because on a red, I do like high acid light reds.
High acid light red, yeah.
But equally, I will knock 2 bottles of the face ripper back.
about
I'm not,
anything, really.
let's be honest. No, just the white wine with a bit fussy.
Yeah.
Red, I'll drink anything. Right, hot cross buns as well, question mark. What was the purchase behind hot cross buns?
Don't know. We always like to have something on the board. You never know.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Well, Easter, still Jubilee, isn't it?
Jubilee.
Jubilee
Just another
weekend.
Bank holiday.
Just a bank holiday, Why celebrate with a hot cross bun? Right, okie doke. So get wine 2 finished up out of your glasses and open for us, please. Number 3. Now, you will notice it has a yellow label, but when you pour it in the glass, take a little look at the lovely, lovely colour that is entering the glass.
Pale.
There. Oh, it's
Tis
as pale.
very pale.
It's as pale as they come. We love the cheesies, delicious. Yes, we've got all of that going on. Good evening. Oh, good evening. Ian's there as well. Lovely zing to it, says Donnelly. Somewhat sending my teeth on edge, this acid. I get it. Like, I'm with you.
If you do have a high acid white wine and you are struggling with it, and you're like, well, I've got to muscle through. You buy one from a shop or something. Just get it colder.
Yeah.
Chill it down. That really helps. Just bring the acidity down.
I have even heard you say, like, feel free to put ice in it, but if you're gonna put ice in it, fill the glass.
Yeah,
lots of ice.
Lots. Yeah, because
lots
if you only put like 1 cube, it will melt really, really quickly, and it will just make watery wine, which nobody wants.
No.
So yeah, you can put tons of ice in, like literally fill your wine glass with ice first, and then bang the wine in, and then it'll chill it, but it won't water it down. Unless you take ages to drink.
And
who does that?
and if you're here and it's taking ages to drink,
Yeah, in the wrong
I mean,
place.
your other option as well, get some of those like whiskey rocks or something that isn't
that
actually
doesn't
gonna
melt.
melt.
Frozen grapes, apparently.
I have heard that, frozen grapes. But are you not then messing with if you introduce fruit into it, are you not messing with the flavour of the wine?
I don't know.
Surely they must get some kind of dissolved in there. Because I know that people do it, then strawberries and Prosecco and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, how much flavour can a grape induce?
No, probably not.
Who knows?
Well, not the speed I drink anyway. So. Right, number 3, get it poured out, have a little sip. I'm going to just launch the next poll, ask you what you are tasting. Remember, any questions? There you go. Why use a decanter for wine? Any questions just come in. While I launch this one.
Why use a decanter for wine? That is a great question. So, oxygen for most of wine's life is its enemy. We put a cork or a cap on a bottle of wine to stop oxygen getting to it because it oxidizes the wine, makes it turn to vinegar. But actually, when a wine has spent ages in the bottle away from any air, the flavors in it sort of dampen down and disappear and sort of become muted. Now, I have to clarify here, this really is for wine that has been in a bottle for a long time. I'm talking years. 5 or so years or more, you might start to see those effects. 10 years, you certainly would see those effects. And so the reason why we decant a wine is to literally, by the act of pouring the wine out of the bottle all in one go into the decanter, while getting air around it, which sort of brings the flavours to life.
Bit like that morning coffee. You're awake, but you need that to just get you started.
To get you going, absolutely. Yeah. So all of the wines that we're drinking tonight, and most of the wines that you guys drink at home, they're not going to have 5 years on them. I'm just looking at the one at the end, thinking no. But you know, a couple of years on the one at the end. But most of the wines you drink at home are not going to have 5 years or more on, so you don't really need to worry about it too much. But if you pick up a nice premium Rioja Reserva or a Barolo maybe from Italy, something like that, they will probably be 5 years old or more. Have a look at the date on the label, and they'll want to be decanted. But the decanting, it's not about the vessel. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be crystal. It doesn't have to be some posh brand. It could be your Pyrex jug. In fact, often it's my Pyrex jug. It's about the act of pouring it all out into a different vessel. It's the pouring that does the job.
Mixing it with the glugging.
The glugging that does the job, not the leaving it in the bottle.
Yeah. And just taking the cork or the cap off a bottle and sitting on the side of the kitchen and going, just let that breathe.
Yeah.
Doesn't do anything. That you've got that tiny little 5p piece size neck of the bottle. That's all the air that's getting to it. Yeah. Pour it into a jug. If you've got a decanter, great. But don't go and spend big bucks. Or bang an aerator in it. They're quite good. You can just pour it straight out of the bottle with an aerator. Again, that's just like a really aggressive pour.
Yeah. Give it aggressive pour.
So we're getting what does it tasty? A cheeky number.
Cheeky number.
Obviously a lot of love for strawberry, mango pear. We've got buttery, Pimm's, Blue Nun, blackcurrant, sherbet. Again, another bit of love for the fizz kind of vibe here, I think. But yeah, great. Right. So if you can't tell, or your eyesight's not as good as it once was,
it's very pale.
This is a very pale, blushy rosé.
Bit of rosé.
We are drinking a rosé now. It's definitely not the case that rosé is like the poor cousin of winemaking, right? And I think a lot of people form that opinion when you're drinking your White Zimps and your Gallows and all of that, and rosé's just there. It's the gateway into wine. Gets people into it, but that's not the case.
No. It's actually it is a big preconception that a winemaker, whatever country he's in, makes his white and his red and he's proud of it, and then he sort of uses the leftovers for rosé. That's absolutely not the case at all. A lot of love and effort goes into making most rosé wines. Obviously, we've just spoken about a few that perhaps not so much effort, but making great rosé is a real skill. One region in particular, if we're going to drink rosé, we all love at the moment, and that is Provence. Provence down in the south of France. The cities of Marseille, Saint-Tropez, Cannes, and all that sort of jet-set, yacht-loving lifestyle. Provence is a wine region that basically just sits slightly inland of that region. And so as a result, it's become very popular there. Lots of celebrity endorsed Provence rosé in funky shaped bottles and that sort of thing. Brands like Whispering Angel, super popular.
We get a lot of that all the time.
I actually can't believe how quickly a brand has managed to get people to spend £20 on rosé.
And I think it's because they gave a load to the Beckhams when they were on their yacht, and it just suddenly it was obviously in all the rags that sit on doctors. Yeah, they gave it to the Beckhams, and suddenly. Do you know they've got like 3 grades of it now? So
there's 3. There's
like 3 tiers. There's like Whispering Angel, and then there's Rock Angel and Crystal, and they. The lowest price one I think is about 18 quid.
Yeah,
go up to about 25 to 30 quid.
So rosé from Provence, very trendy, very popular at the moment, but also very tasty. And so quite rightly so that it's popular because it is a tasty type of rosé, and we all enjoy it. We enjoy those paler styles of rosé. Well, that's what we've got here for you, as you can see, super pale. We're just a bit further down the beach from Provence. We're in France. We're definitely in the Languedoc in France, just a little bit further down the beach. From those sort of posher cities, and as a result we're paying far less for the wine, but we do have essentially an identical twin. So all Provence rosé and most rosés from that part of the world are generally a blend of 3 different grape varieties or them on their own, and those 3 varieties are Grenache, Cinsault and Shiraz or Syrah. Provence rosé, can be a couple of others. Maybe it'll be 5 or 6 different grapes. There's others like Rollet, which is actually the French word for Vermentino, that will be thrown in there. They're generally a blend or a single of one of those things. They won't even say. They won't even say on the bottle. This is Cinsault, one of those red white grapes that is used to make the rosé. And it's a fantastic example. It delivers all of the lovely flavours that we like from a pale pink rosé, and it is just as good as any Provence I've tasted, and fantastic value for money.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Mark and Barbara, where are sparkling rosés against other fizzies? So like, you know, where do you? Well, I mean, we've got a couple of good ones. We've got the one from Perolado, which is a rosé sparkling cava, and I know you can get rosé prosecco, but obviously we know that prosecco has rules, champagne has rules, cava has rules. So like, are they working within the rules to make rosé, or is it because their rules are so strict they don't see a lot of it? Like?
Yeah, they're perfectly within the rules. Certainly for champagne, certainly for cava. For prosecco, only within the rules in the last couple of years. Okay. So only since, I'm trying to think now, COVID just throws you off, doesn't it? I think since 2019, prosecco can have the word rosé written next to it, because before then, prosecco as a region, because it's a region, not a grape, the grape is Glera, didn't permit making rosé, but they saw the money, and then they've done that.
Colour of money.
Now the difference is a good question actually, because the difference between Pink Fizz and what we're drinking here is actually an entirely different winemaking process. So still rosés like we're drinking now, all of them are made from grapes all grapes have clear juice. Let's start with that. All grapes have white juice. Doesn't matter how dark the grape is on the outside, it has white juice. But all rosés from still winemaking have got a red skin of some sort. So they've got to come from a red wine grape. Grenache, red wine grape. Cinsault, red wine grape. Shiraz, red wine grape. And the colour comes from the skins. And in order to sort of decide how much colour we're going to get into the wine, it's how much time we leave the skins in with the juice. So a real pale one like this Cinsault, you're probably talking hours tops, maybe like 15 hours with the skins left in with the juice before they whip the skins away and then crack on making the wine. And that's how all still rosés are made. It's a white wine made from red grapes, but the skin is left into colour. Fizz, totally different. So all Pink Fizz starts its life as white fizz, and then they just add a splash of red wine in. That's all they do.
Just a little drop.
And it sounds mad because like this is champagne will do that, you know. So you think Laurent Perrier rosé, 65 quid a bottle type stuff. All it is Laurent Perrier normal champagne with a little bit of Pinot Noir dropped in to colour it, and that's all they do. It adds flavour. It adds red flavours to the fizz. But that's the way they do it. They couldn't possibly do it the other way. So yeah, all Pink Fizz is just dyed with a splash of red wine, basically, whereas this is actually made in the wine.
And the only exception to the red grape rule would be your Pinot Grigio.
Pinot Grigio, yeah. So obviously Pinot Grigio, you're thinking, hang on a minute, that makes white wine. It's a white grape. How is that getting colour in the bottle from its skins? Well, Pinot Grigio, the word Grigio means grey. If you Google the grape, you'll see that it's a grey pink colour. So unlike Sauvignon or Chardonnay, which are very green or white grapes, Pinot Grigio is actually a dusky, pinky, grey sort of colour. So that's where we get the colour from.
Better than using food colouring.
Yep.
Right, while we're finishing off number 3, and we're about to move on to the red, so that'll be wines 4, 5, and 6. Do make sure you've got them out of the fridge and they are room temp, tepid, ready to be drank. If you haven't, go and grab them now. You've got a couple of minutes. Put them somewhere warm. We've had a little question come in. Cheers for the fizz info. Yeah, great bit of colour there. Thank you. I hate wine. I'm just here for the pretzels. Can you learn to like it?
That is a great question. I think you can learn to like anything.
I think you can.
I had to teach myself to like olives. I hated olives, and I just sort of forced myself. And I've seen different numbers bandied around, but they say like by the time you've had 20 something or 30 something, then you like it.
Yeah, I think the for me, like, I didn't like white wine. Now we've obviously gone over that, but you kind of said to me, start in the middle. You know, go with something with a little bit of like sweetness in there that's not super high acid. Because I think you've got to work to the extremes, haven't you?
Absolutely.
You know, especially even with red wines, the same. You know, if start with something in the middle and then go find which end of the spectrum works for you. So, yeah, if you don't like wine at all, figure out what it is about wines you've tried that you don't like. Is it because they're too acidic? Is it because if it's red, they're too bitter, in which case you're going too big, try something a lot lighter. And do you know what? Just soldier on, because
yeah, push through.
You're missing out.
Yeah. You will find that there is such a variety out there. You will find something that suits you. And as Dan said, we'll talk about this with the reds actually. In fact, we've got a really good example coming up with the first red of a way that you might be able to entry level yourself into drinking red wine. As Dan said, if you find red wine too bitter, and that's the tannins, the tannic flavour, that's because you're trying wines that are too big and bulky and have thick skins and tannins. Now, you might be thinking, well, hang on a minute, guys, like, how do I know that when I'm stood in Aldi on a Saturday morning? Well, hopefully, we'll be able to teach you those sort of things. And it's actually really, really simple. It comes down to weather. If you know the weather of the country where you're picking the wine from, you can start to make some predictions about whether or not it's going to be a big tannic robust beast that's going to rip your face off, or if it's going to be a little bit friendlier. We've talked about that with the white wines now, so you know now that if you don't like acidity, if you don't like that sort of that drying effect on the mouth and what some people describe as battery acid, then stay away from the super cold countries. Try the warmer countries where the grapes get riper, they become more tropical fruits and a little bit more friendly, a little bit more sugar creeps in there, not to make it sweet, but just make it a little bit more enjoyable. And we'll cover the same sort of ground for the reds.
Quick one on this, before we move on to the reds. I mean, I have prepped my red glass, I'm all about the reds. Someone described this as buttery. Now, did we discuss this before or not? I don't remember. This has had some lees aging,
right? Aging, yeah. When they said it, I thought we'll mention that, but I totally forgot. Thank you. Yeah. So, butteriness is something that I guess we're probably all familiar, especially with the white wines, and there's no reason why it can't be in here as well. There's no reason why it can't be in a red wine actually. And that there's two types of aging that we'll talk about with wines. So most of what you can do to create flavour in wine is what I've talked about so far, weather, and what's happening in the field. Then it comes in and gets turned into wine, and then the only thing you can do after that is age it to change the flavour. Two ways of doing it, as I say. One is oak aging, we're going to cover that later, in oak barrels, and the other is lees aging, as Dan said. Lees aging, lees is the French word for yeast. So as Dan was talking about when we were talking about vegan wines, yeast is in there for the fermentation process, and it needs to be filtered off, hopefully with a vegan vegetable product rather than an animal one. But before they filter it off, what they can do is choose to leave it in for a bit. Dead yeast, leave it in there for a bit and stir it up every now and again. And by stirring it up every now and again, they push the yeast through the wine and they create these buttery dairy flavors. So if you're tasting like dairy-like flavors, creamy, buttery, whatever, something like that, that's come from the lees aging that the wine has undergone.
Very good, very good. Right, so get number 4 open, pour that out. You don't necessarily need to change your glass. I've just been drinking a bit of this before, which is why I swapped mine over. As long as you've got rid of all of the rosé, feel free to pour it into there.
I have.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, number 4, so we're starting on the reds now. And I have just thrown up onto Slido what your favourite grape, type of red wine, etc. is. We've had a few. We've got Nero d'Avola, Malbec's the favourite right now.
For sure.
Carmenere.
Lovely.
Pinot Noir Preco.
I don't know what that is. Somebody knows more than me.
Right, there we go. Valpolicella, obviously was there. Not a couple of weeks ago. I was in the home of Valpolicella trying a couple of lovely bottles. We'll see what that leads us onto in the coming months. But yeah, so there we go. Lots of different styles there as well. You'd love to see. It's great to see that some of the some of the non...
Yeah, some of the more unusual stuff.
Hopefully it's some of those Tourega Nacional.
Oh, hello.
We've got a we've got a Portugal fan in here.
Passamento, fantastic.
We have, obviously, maybe it's a couple of the regulars that are now switched over and are on, actively looking out for things like Nero d'Avola and the Sicilian stuff that we absolutely love. So, red wine. It's wine number 4. It's an interesting one, this.
Yes.
It is.
Surprised me.
Very interesting. Let's see what people are tasting. Obviously, if you've opened the cards, but just don't go throwing it out there. Let's just see what people are getting. Remember, it is red wine and it's number 4. Wine 4, Caramel Blackwood.
Caramel. I like that. It is kind of, yeah. I do get that caramelliness. I'm in there.
Do you know what I think the caramel comes from? The fact it's so smooth.
It is
Really smooth.
Yeah.
Like it was surprised. Sam picks the wines, and you were even surprised at how smooth this was. You thought it was going to be more. You know,
so whilst you're
so.
throwing your flavours up, I'll talk about that. So I said earlier when we were talking about the person who's not into their wine and was just here for the pretzels, that this might be a good starter wine for you. Now, generally when I say to people who don't like red wine, you know, here's a recommendation for a little starter red for you. We're looking at cooler climate red wines from colder countries. What does that mean? Well, the cooler climate red wines don't need thick skins to protect themselves from the scorching heat of, say, Australia or central Spain. Now, it's that skin that gives the bitterness and the astringency in red wine. So these guys in the colder climates are thinner skinned, less bitterness, and more easy drinking. You love an easy drinking red. Pinot Noir, for example, cool climate red wine. You find it in the cooler parts of France, cooler parts of Chile, other places as well. Easy drinking, low tannin, low bitterness. However, what that does come with, just like in our white wines, is acidity. Now, acidity in white wine we've talked about a fair old bit. Acidity in red wine can create more of a tartness to the fruitiness. So like, if you've got a wine that's got red fruit flavours, if it's got quite high acidity because it's from a cold climate, that it can be like a cranberry, you know, that sort of tart, slightly sour nature. Now, here we are, we're in a cool climate red wine. This is exactly the sort of thing that I'd recommend for somebody, but I was worried about this wine having too much tartness. I was thinking, oh, this might be a Marmite wine, the tartness might not be too much for people, but actually, completely surprised. The last time I tried this was a couple of years ago before we picked it for this week. Maybe they've just had a particularly warm year. I don't know, I'd have to check that. But we are in Austria for this red wine. It's Funkstil Zweigelt. Zweigelt is the grape. It's the most planted red grape variety in Austria. And yeah, we're talking super cool climate. I mean, when we think of Austria, we think of snowy alpine mountains and all that sort of stuff. It is super cold, and generally Zweigelts can be a little bit high in acid. They can be quite tart in nature, but this guy, he's smooth. I mean, the acidity has been really ripened out. They may have had a really hot summer. This is 2021, is it? Yeah, 2021. So they may have had a really hot summer, or it's just fantastic winemaking where what they've been able to do is leave those grapes out there for as long as possible to soak up all the sun before they harvest. That is a gamble. So if you're harvesting in Austria, because they're in the northern hemisphere like us, we're talking September, October time, they might have been sat there looking out the window thinking, oh, just a bit more sun to get it riper and more sugary, less tart. But the moment it starts to rain, ruined. Half the crop will be gone, watered down, vines destroyed. So they sit in a situation. Imagine us in the UK looking out the window in September, trying to gamble whether it's going to rain or not. So that's what these guys may have done. They might have just left it out right to the last minute to get as much of that early autumn sun to ripen out. And I think it's great. I mean,
yeah, Mark and Barbara, you know, it's a bit too tarty for them.
Okay.
And you know, and I get that. You know, when we use the word tart, it doesn't sit very well with me, because I always think straight away it's like I'm not a fan of, you know, when you get like a you go to a party or something, it's like Black Forest Gatto.
Yeah, not for a while.
Or something like that.
When was the last time we went to a party? 1973.
Sara Lee, like, you know, Sara Lee. I have to take the cherry and all that off the top. It's too tart for me.
This is very cherry.
I'll eat. Don't get me wrong, I'll eat the chocolate cream and all of that, and then, you know, but the cherry, like, so yeah, I can understand why it's a bit tart. Someone else read that as a swear word to start with. I think by Wine 4 has gone to their head. So yeah.
What was the swear word?
Funkstil.
Funkstil. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
nice label. Funkstil, by the way. So we don't see a lot of Austrian wine at Smash Grapes. In fact, this is the only Austrian wine we see at Smash Grapes by Funkstil. We've got the white as well from those guys. Austria can be a bit old-fashioned in its winemaking. Funkstil, really fantastic new winery. They're like carbon neutral, produce their own energy using biogas. Really cool guys, and yeah, doing some fantastic stuff. And I think, you know, that if we could have the ability to try it next to a more old-fashioned Zweigelt, I think you'd realise the difference between the tartiness and then this, which I think this is nice. I mean, I get the caramel and it's sort of
I have tried. I've tried. We've got an original Zweigelt in here, and it's chalk and cheese. But this, I quite like this one. Have we ever tried battery acid, or are we just imagining the taste? When you've been a poor student and gone to Home Bargains and bought boxed wine at $3.99 a go and had to mix orange cordial in it to make it drinkable, you've got a pretty good idea what battery acid is, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while, but yeah, you know, those horrible... And what that actually comes from, guys, as well, you know, we talked about acidity naturally occurring in grapes and these high acid grape varieties from colder countries. That type of wine has got nothing to do with that. What that is chemically added acidity and sugar. So great winemaking, as we've talked about with these guys, you know, maybe leaving out in the field to get as much sun as possible, or the opposite of that, you know, great winemaking in a cooler climate country where they're trying to preserve as much acidity. That all happens in the field. It all happens by, you know, farmers' expertise who know the weather and can predict, because they've got generations of experience, what's going to happen. Once they pick the grapes, apart from what we talked about with oak and lees aging, they don't do anything. They just squeeze them, make wine. Bad winemaking, mass-produced winemaking, you know, any winemaking that has a big brand on it, and I do mean any winemaking that has a big brand on it, because they've got to make profits, you know, and pay for all of those marketing and that advertising and stuff like that. They won't worry about that. They'll just plant the grapes, grow them as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And by that, I mean, you know, no worrying about the weather, just grow, harvest. Then they get them in the vat and they go, oh shit, it's not got enough acidity, or oh, it's not got enough sugar. And that's when they bang in the chemicals. And rather scarily, there are over 120 permitted chemicals, all of them acid and sugar substitutes that can be put in a bottle of wine and don't have to go on the label. The only thing that has to go on the label is sulfur, because it's, you know, one of the 14 allergens. But all of those 120 chemicals could be in one of those mass-produced wines to balance out poor winemaking. That's where you get your battery acid flavours from, and it's also where you get your terrible headaches the next morning from.
Terrible headaches. What else have we got here? Get this one down, get it drunk, get wine number 5 poured out. Punt, does size...
What do you call me?
Hey, does size matter?
Size never matters, that's what I keep telling her.
I think what we need to do here, though, is first explain to those people who don't know what the punt is. The dimple in the bottom of the bottle.
Shallow punt.
Shallow punt. It's a...
This one's quite deep.
The little ridge.
What
you will find, we talked about Provence before. A lot of the Provence, the taller bottles tend to have a much more extended, larger punt.
Oh, this guy does actually.
Yeah, they tend to do. It's actually a remnant from when glass bottles had to be blown by hand. It's where the glass was blown from and twisted off, and that's why it's there. So it's kind of just hung around. Obviously, we don't blow glass bottles anymore.
It's not needed.
It makes absolutely no difference. If it's a non-standard bottle, it means they've spent more money on their packaging, which generally means you're paying more for that brand. In champagne and sparkling bottles, it does offer an amount of stability against the glass, but
and also it catches sediment in the winemaking process. So yeah, with champagne, it's relevant.
Little bit different in fizz, but yeah, again, it's not a mark of quality. It's kind of got a functional purpose in fizz, but in still wine, no, absolutely no sign of quality. So size does not matter when it comes to punts.
And I would be concerned about wines. You know, when you pick up a bottle of wine, and you think, what the hell? You know, if they've over-invested in the weight of the glass bottle, it feels to me like they might be compensating for, you know, trying to be able to give you a premium markup on something that might not be that great. You know?
Yeah, possibly. Can we do a summer edition of wine tasting with more rosé whites than reds? Someone else has seconded that, but only as long as there is a winter edition of reds too. I think it would have to be an extra one if we were going to do that, possibly, because there's no reason that you can't have red wines on the patio.
No, we could do a summer edition maybe with like a couple of red wines at the end, so we can still mix it up.
Maybe do 4 or 2. Who knows?
Send us a message on socials or email us. Get in touch. If we get the demand, we'll absolutely do it. But you know, we don't want to just do it for Julie in a lounge at home. Yeah. We'll do it if there's a demand. what you can do is have a look when they launch at our individual tasting kits.
Absolutely, that leads us in lovely. You'll see if you go to the Smash Grapes website, which you probably have to have got your order for today, unless of course you want to do this every month and have the hassle taken away of ordering and sign up to our subscription for this. But regardless, if you go to the Smash Grapes website, smashgrapes.co.uk, you will now see in the top menu we have a new section called Tasting Kits. What are those? Well, they're exactly the same as what you've been sent through the post for this. So it's 6 wines with some snacks, some info cards and everything else. But they're a bit more DIY. So the videos that we've been talking about before, they've all been recorded. We've got a range of stuff. We've got a best of Spain, Italy, France. We've got cheese, charcuterie. We're going to be launching a couple of grape-specific ones soon as well.
If you love Sauvignon Blanc, we're going to do an all Sauvignon Blanc one. If you love Malbec, we're going to do an all Malbec one, and there'll be plenty more. We'll definitely do an all rosé one at some point over the summer for people.
And all of those you have the option to choose white, red, or mixed wines with as well.
Unless it's the Sauvignon Blanc or the Malbec.
Of course, yeah. We'd struggle to do an all red if you love Sauvignon Blanc kit. But yeah. So those are going to launch. They're on the website now. They say sold out. It's just because we've got a couple of little pieces to tweak before they go live, but they will go live very, very soon.
Great for gifting.
Yeah, great for gifting, and it's Father's Day coming up as well.
Hello.
So if anyone's dad is a bit of a wino, likes to try different wines, likes a bit of cheese, likes a bit of charcuterie even. Yeah, perfect gifting kit there.
Yeah.
They get the same as what you want to try before you buy in terms of info cards, a voucher to come back with.
Yeah, £10 off.
But instead of this live tasting, it's a pre-recorded video that you can do at your own leisure, at your own pace.
Yeah, so just to reiterate, you don't have to tune in at a certain time like you guys have tonight. They can do it whenever they want. We've been pre-recording some videos. We think they're really good.
Yep, we've been drinking a lot of wine.
A lot of takes.
A lot. God, this guy just, he knows what he needs to say, but I think it's just so he can have a bit more wine.
Keep an eye out for the blooper reels. I mean, there's more blooper reels than there is tasting videos.
I feel like, what was the fella's name? Dennis Neal, who used to host, someone in the Q&A, who used to host It'll Be Alright on the Night? I feel like we should, I think he's passed away, but we should get him back to do a blooper show, because this is like, there's so much bloopers.
So you don't need to tune in live, guys. You can do them anytime, which makes them excellent for gifting. Or, if you've got, a Friday night free and you've got no plans and it's not a try before you buy end of the month Friday, then grab yourself 1 or 2 of these and have a nice night in. Right,
there we go. Next up, number 5. Now, I obviously know what these are. If you've opened the cards, you know what these are. But this is an absolutely stonking wine. One of my favourites that we've ever had in, I think, actually. And a bit of a classic, but yeah.
Oh,
what are you tasting here for Wine 5? Wine 5. That'd be really interesting to try a few wines in the same grape. Barry Norman, that's it. Barry Norman. There we go. Thank you, Anonymous. Barry Norman. I think that is quite interesting. Trying 6 different wines of the same grape.
There's such a variety. I mean, even within Sauvignon Blanc, the 6 ones that we've chosen for the Sauvignon Blanc kit are all so different, and the Malbec will be the same actually, and everybody's probably thinking, well, hang on a minute, is that 6 Argentinian Malbec? It's not.
No,
it's absolutely not.
And I think, just it's a spoiler alert, that sometimes you might throw a curveball in that's a bit like, if you love Malbec, you will love this. If you love Sauvignon, you'll love this. It's only ever one wine, just to, 1 or 2, just to chance their arm. But yeah, they're coming along. They're going to be really, really interesting. Right, what have we got tasting going on here? Oh, we've got to tell you what, there's no one standing out. Oh, Prune has just jumped ahead. Christmas, licorice, leather, burnt rubber, Prune, vanilla, Christmas,
Bourbon,
pepper.
oak. Have you seen those wines that are aged in bourbon oak barrels? Sainsbury's has got one.
I haven't, but I can imagine that's a bit faddish.
Yeah, I think somebody.
Because why have they not been doing? They've been making whiskey as long as they've been making wine.
Yeah, nobody's ever aged wine in an old. And I was going to say it then, but surprisingly enough, even if you're into your whiskey, you might know this. Even some of the most prestigious whiskies in the world are actually aged in second-hand Jack Daniel's barrels, because there's just so many of them. So many in the world. So I bet these guys, these ones, the wines, are probably aged in second-hand Jack Daniel's barrels. So interesting. I'd give it a try.
I mean, yeah, I've tried it. I mean, I've tried a few of the different. I know it's a big brand, but like Jameson's are doing quite a few different cask aged whiskies. They've got like one that's aged in like IPA. Like it's interesting.
Wrong mania. You can't drink leather.
Wrong mania. Nice.
Like it. We'll talk about leather. We'll talk about leather.
We will.
Yeah, like it. Lots of different stuff, guys. Really like it.
I've just seen one in the chat as well, very quickly. What are our thoughts on Moldovan wine? I've never tried it, but we know that wine was most likely invented in Georgia, which I think is like in that general area. So the Moldovans, no doubt, have been making wine a bit like Romania, just as long as everyone else, but because they don't quite have the relationship with us in the UK, they didn't become like a global powerhouse for prestigious winemaking. So I bet it's good. They've got a Moldovan Cab Sav to try.
Give it a go. I bet you it'll be good.
Yeah, it's gonna
I've tried Lebanese. I know that's not necessarily next door or anything, but not Moldovan. But as Dan says, that is essentially the cradle of winemaking. So I'm sure it will be good.
Right, so number 5, wine 5, red 5, sorry, wine number 5, prune vanilla licorice, jumping out there. This is a great wine.
It's a great wine. So yeah, we've got a great variety that I'm sure many of you will know here, a proper full-bodied red, but perhaps from a region that is slightly less known. I'm going to pour myself a little bit more before you go to wine count.
That's
going to have a little
trigger
splash
happy
more. Forgot how good it was.
He knows I can't press the button until it's on the point.
So yeah, these guys are a massive favourite of ours. We are in Romania. This is another one from Cromel Răcas in Romania. This is their Savari Reserve range. They've got a collection of different wines. Collection of different wines that in this range. They've got some native grapes with really weird names. We'll come back to that another day. But they also do these international varieties, more familiar varieties, and this is Syrah or Shiraz. Syrah and Shiraz are the same thing. They're just different words for the same grape variety. Syrah is like the original old world name. Syrah as a grape was born in the Côte d'Or. That's where it's called Syrah. Obviously the Australians have taken it on and called it Shiraz, and that was a terrible Australian accent.
That was awful.
Shiraz, and have made it more famous, so we tend to call it Shiraz. Shiraz probably is the world's most popular full-bodied red grape. When we think of full-bodied red wine, Shiraz has it all going, and you guys put up a ton of stuff up there. It loves the heat, Shiraz, and when it takes in the heat, it's got very thick skins. When it takes in the heat, you don't just get fruit, you get concentrated, jammy fruit flavors. The prune was going up there quite early days, wasn't it? So when we're talking about climate and weather and red wine, we've talked about those high acid, tart red fruits for the colder climates. When we move into the warmer climates, we tend to get more red to dark fruit flavors. And when we get into the really hot climates, we tend to get these like concentrated, cooked, jammy sort of flavors like prunes and raisins and that sort of thing. And that's definitely what we've got going on here. This isn't an absolute face ripper like the Australians. An Aussie Shiraz would be like 14.5%. And yeah, a big old beast of a wine. Romania, a little bit more mild. It's got very, very similar climate, Romania, to Burgundy. It's about on the same latitudinal plane as Burgundy in terms of its distance from the equator. What it does have in Romania, and if you tuned in last week, you'll have seen me perfectly illustrate that live from the vineyard, is consistency of weather in Romania, because it's landlocked. There's only a tiny bit of coastal area in Romania, and it's miles away on the other side of the country to where the wines are grown. Being landlocked means that they don't get massively random changes of weather like they do in France, where because obviously they're surrounded mostly by the Atlantic, weird weather can blow in and really change things up. Can ruin a harvest overnight. That's why you get good years and bad years. That's why the wine price will fluctuate. In Romania, consistent climate all the time, which means great value.
Helen C, this reminds me we need to go and buy a new Tiger tomorrow. We got a few rubber notes, and I get it. I do understand it. I mean, we had that. I know it wasn't this. It was a Mourvedre from Waterkloof in South Africa.
Yeah.
But that was like drinking a tire.
Yeah.
Like, where does that rubberiness kind of come from?
That was perfectly timed, because it's literally like it's where I was going. But you've set me up brilliantly.
Set you up, knock it out. There you go.
This is something new. We've not covered this, I don't think, on a tasting before. But I thought about it the other day. I thought, I think we'll have a crack at it. So when you talk about wine flavors, you can divide them into 3 categories: primary, secondary, and tertiary. Primary flavors are pretty much all the stuff we've talked about tonight. The fruity flavors you can taste in a wine. The stuff that just naturally comes out of the wine and you think, yeah, this tastes like strawberries to me, or this tastes like lemon to me.
And to just translate primary, secondary, and tertiary, just in case anyone's like, what's tertiary? First, second, and third.
First, second, and third.
First,
Absolutely.
second, and third, yeah.
The secondary flavors that we talk about in wine are what come from the aging processes. So we've talked about how lees aging creates dairy flavors, and we'll talk later on this third wine about what oak aging does, but it tends to be like spicy and vanilla-y and toasty. We'll come to that in a bit. But that's the secondary flavors, okay? The tertiary flavors, or the third group of flavors, are what come as a result of time. Just time. This guy was 2017. That was a while ago, wasn't it?
Wow, yeah,
That was a while ago.
The 5-year-old wine on the shelf of Smash Grapes.
2017, this
Wowzers.
wine. So tertiary flavors are what happen as a result of years in a bottle, and it is a reality. The longer the wine spends in the bottle, the more these tertiary flavors develops.
So this fella could benefit from maybe a decanter.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so in that time, the tertiary flavors develop, and these are all of the bit more obscure ones we talk about. The leather, the rubber, the tobacco, the smokiness. These sort of farmyard comes up quite a lot. These are the weird ones. And people might say, like, how can a wine taste of leather? Where is it picked up leather from? You know, we can understand why a fruit might have fruity flavors, and we understand why oak might make some flavor and how the yeast might make some flavor. But how can just tobacco or farmyard or leather appear out of nowhere? Time. It's just time, you know, time left to age. Just like an aging cheese, you know, a mature cheddar or an extra mature cheddar tastes completely different to a young one, and that's just time. As time happens, the flavors change, and so tertiary flavors are all of those more unusual ones that we talk about.
Okay. Let's get this one finished off. Number 5, get it poured, out, finished, drank. A couple of questions. Do the legs on wine mean anything? Now, while your glass is kind of empty with this one, this should have a bit of legs on it.
Legs on there.
Legs are when you pour in your glass, the little teardrops that cling to the side of the glass, and that is just the sugar content, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes.
So yeah, higher alcohol will generally mean bigger legs because alcohol and sugar are related. So yeah, it's not a mark of quality; it's really a mark of sweetness.
Yeah, sugar content. Absolutely, yeah. So
a pudding wine would absolutely like you would if you pour honey around something, it sticks to the side. But when we're talking just, your general table wines, something with really strong legs is going to be a high alcohol wine.
Yeah, it's just grams per litre of sugar. That's all it tells me. Nothing to do with quality.
Are there red wines that are better chilled?
For sure. I mean, you could technically chill any red wine. The big beastie ones that are, got those astringent tannins or are a bit more chunky, like an Australian Shiraz, if you chill them, the fruit will be muted, but the bitterness will stay high, so not a great result. But at the other end of the spectrum, those high acid, cool climate red wines like a Pinot Noirs, like the Zweigelt maybe, those guys, you can chill them because it mutes the acidity but keeps the fruit at the same level, so actually it becomes very enjoyable. But play around, each to their own, I say.
Yeah, you do find, if you think about the countries you go to where you might get served chilled red wine, it's the Spanish tend to do it, but I mean they're also putting fruit and orange juice and lemonade and all that in there.
Yeah.
I was watching Travel Man the other day, and I can't remember. It was somewhere in Spain. They were mixing red wine and Coca-Cola.
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, and it's
in many countries.
And apparently, it's only a fairly new thing. Some fella ordered loads of wine for a festival, and it was horrible. But he didn't want to send it back, so he mixed it with Coke and just got everyone drinking it.
Yeah, it's quite common in Europe. Yeah, it's
red wine and Coca-Cola.
Well, I can kind of get it. Like they're not miles apart from each other. Syrupiness.
I mean, I'll try it.
Just makes it sweeter.
I would try it. It's got a
I mean, there are some red wines out there right now which could, frankly, taste like they've got Coca-Cola in them. The amount of sugar and stuff that they got whacked into them. But
I'd give it a go, but the mind boggles as to how that became a thing. Someone on the chat, I'm a bit of an alcoholic. I've got legs. There you go. There you go. Right, so last one then. Ooh. Number 6. We are flying this evening.
It's going to be an early bed tonight.
We are flying. Make sure you take a bit of water on tonight before you go to sleep, because we've just drank a bottle of wine. You're going to need it. Right, get it out, pour it in the glass. Let's see what you're tasting. Let's reset that. Keep the questions coming. Calamucho. The first few are nice. I'm assuming after that, do you know what? When I think red wine and Coca-Cola, IBS. Like, that's just all I'm thinking. Like, that is just high acid.
You know when you said the last wine wouldn't be more than 5 years old?
Oh. I didn't say it wouldn't be, but we said it would.
You were like, no.
Right. Are my tattoos wine related? No, they're not. They are not.
That would be weird.
That would be really weird. Like, yeah.
I mean, he's only started drinking wine in the last couple of years.
Yeah. But just really gone, taking it to heart. Really taking it to heart. Right. What are you tasting then? Wine number 6.
Wine with balls. Oh God.
If you're doing a wine type tasting, how about regionals too? Different wines from the same country.
Yeah.
Well, we do that. So we've got the best of Spain, Italy, France. We've not gone. We've gone country at the moment rather than regions.
But within those kits, they explore different regions.
Yeah. So the best of Spain, we picked 6 wines from all over the country that we think are really good. Yeah. One with balls, creamy, blackcurrant. So yeah, the Calamucho tastes like Dr. Pepper. But like, how can that taste like Dr. Pepper when what do you mix lager with to make Dr. Pepper?
What?
There's a cocktail, isn't there? Well, it's not a cocktail. But
is it Guinness based?
It is Guinness based. I might
Herbal,
Guinness and Coke.
Cherry, spice, creamy, blackcurrant.
Rioja, creamy, herbal. Yeah, come on, keep them coming. Musty Books.
Musty Books. I feel that.
Yeah, Musty Books.
I like that.
Calamucho. I'm going to give that a go. I mean, I wouldn't want to do it with expensive. Oh, clearly, he bought crap red wine when he first did it, so you wouldn't want to do it with expensive wine.
Cherry. I like Musty Books. That's a new one. I'm going to add that to my list.
There is a must there. I mean, maybe it's just my social status, but I never really sniffed many books, musty or otherwise.
No, I can't remember the last time I did, but yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Very dry, gaudy.
Gaudy.
I'm not even sure if I know what gaudy means.
Oh, what have I just pressed there?
He's reset it. It's all gone.
I haven't. No, I haven't. I've just pressed the wrong button. There we go. Very dry. There we go. Right. Okay. Let's put a on the mark.
Sorry, on the mark. So
He's forgetting himself.
I said tonight that we were going to look at some much loved wine regions rather than some unusual ones. We've had some unusual ones. We've had Romania, we've had Austria, which is great, and we've had some fantastic alternatives. But for the last wine tonight, we have gone with an absolute favourite, an absolute staple of wine drinking. I'm sick of looking at it, frankly, in my local Tesco's. It seems to be all they stock, and that is Rioja. Big love for Rioja from you guys, and from everybody. Everybody loves a Rioja. And I don't think it's unusual if you go to your local supermarket, look at the Spanish part of the aisle, and it's like 90% Rioja. So what we wanted to do was go out and find you guys a Rioja that delivers, that is a fantastic quality wine, gives you value for money, something maybe slightly different to the norm. We've got a little bit of that going on here, but generally everything you might expect from a great Rioja. Rioja is a tiny region in Spain. There's lots of Spain to be explored. It's in the heart of Spain, sort of central but northern, not too far from the Atlantic. This is De Alto. De Alto y Mas is the full name of the vineyard. De Alto Rioja y Mas, is the full name of the winemaker. Rioja y Mas, meaning Rioja and more. They actually source the grapes not only from unusual parts of Rioja, I'll come to that in a minute, but also other parts of Spain, bring them together and make the wine in Rioja. So Rioja is a region. It's not a grape. We'll come to what the grapes are in a sec. But Rioja is a region. It's a place, not the grape variety. And it's divided into three. Rioja Alta, which is like sort of the most northern bit, quite close to the northern coast of Spain. Alavesa, slightly further down, but basically the same area. These guys are the premium regions. Supposedly, they are the perfect distance from the Atlantic Ocean to get all of that Spanish sun, but have the cooling effect of the sea breezes. So these guys have notoriously been the ones that have been punching out the premium stuff. Then there's a third region, Rioja Oriental, or Eastern Spain. It used to be called Rioja Baja, Baja meaning lower. And that was only because lower meant altitude. It was further down the mountains, a lower altitude. But the winemakers in Rioja Baja hated the fact that this was considered to mean lower, as in
Lower
not
quality,
as good a quality. And so they changed it to Oriental, meaning Eastern. Rioja Oriental now is the cool kid on the block. All of the best Spanish winemakers are moving there because actually they've realized it is great for making quality wines. That's where this guy comes from. So what's in there? Well, all Rioja is a blend. Pretty much all Rioja is a blend. When we're talking about red Rioja, it's going to be a blend of a few different things. First of all, it's going to be Tempranillo. This guy is 90% Tempranillo, so it's not much of a blend. It's 90% Tempranillo, but you might find other Riojas are, 50% Tempranillo. It's not always the case that it's majority. Then there's Garnacha is the other one. This guy's 5% Garnacha. Graziano is another very common third red grape for Riojan blends. No Graziano in this one. And the last one is Mazuelo. This is a 5% Mazuelo as well. Excuse me, that came out of nowhere. Mazuelo being the Riojan name for Carignan, which is a red wine we've done a few times in the past. So Tempranillo, Garnacha and Carignan we've got here, all blended together to make this classic Rioja.
So in Spain they call it Carignana and Mazuelo.
So Rioja as a region has its own language for almost all the grapes. So for example, Macabeo, the white grape from Spain, they call it Viura in Rioja. And yet Carignana is what they call it in most of Spain, but in Rioja they call it Mazuelo, own language.
Very easy to remember. Clearly.
Yeah. It's a pain in the ass. Yeah,
cool.
Very difficult. But yeah, classic Rioja here. Rioja, a fantastic all-rounder. We've got all sorts of flavours going up there. And yeah, it makes a fantastic full-bodied red wine.
There's a handful of people who are saying a bit swampy, a bit...
swampy?
Yeah, tastes like a stagnant swamp. Reminds me of a damp cellar. Yeah, I think it's... I think that's just because it's got a bit of age to it.
Yeah, so we're in 2017 here for this guy.
Back in
2017.
Gone old towards the end, haven't they?
Yeah, and oak, lots of oak aging. So oak aging is super important for the region of Rioja. Almost all of their reds and whites actually undergo some oak aging, and there are actually different levels and different labels that we apply to them. And we've got a little bit of green screen time to illustrate that.
We have. Remember to unclip your microphone. So yeah, sorry, you're gonna hear all the ruffling of Sam taking his microphone off as he moves over to. I told you last month he has always wanted to be a weatherman, and I tell you every time, oh, I've got this idea, I'm gonna do this, gonna do that. But while Sam just gets into his element, someone's just said we were on the stream a few months ago, and the difference is noticeable. Dan, clearly absorbing knowledge from Sam, fielding some of the questions yourself. Look at that. Top work. There we go.
Doing so well.
Oh, right. Just give us a little mic test.
Hello.
I think that's okay. We'll see. We'll soon find out. Right. So here we are. You're going to talk to us about oak and Rioja.
Yes. So Rioja, we've talked about the region. Put it back. I wasn't ready for that.
Okay. There you go.
So we've talked about Rioja as a region. We've talked about Rioja as the grapes. The last piece of the puzzle for understanding what you're drinking when you buy some Rioja is oak aging. It comes in lots of different levels. It means lots of different things. It will tell you about some of the flavours that you're going to get in the wine. It will tell you about the quality of the grapes are in the wine. It's also going to tell you about the price you're going to pay. So that's why I've done this little guide to understanding Rioja oak aging. So, please Dan. First of all, we've got generic Rioja, or sometimes it's called Joven. So you might just see the word Rioja written on the bottle on its own, or you might see the word Joven for young.
Wait a second. Wait a second. Apparently, you're a bit quiet. You're a bit quiet. You can turn it up on that, yeah. There's a volume.
How about that? Hello.
It should be better now.
Okay. So, we start off with Rioja, generic Rioja. So, it'll just say Rioja on the bottle. Or it might say Joven, the Spanish word for young. These wines have had, by law, 6 months or less. Sometimes none, but sometimes 6 months in an oak barrel. They're going to get some of that toasty vanilla flavour. Most of these oak barrels in Rioja, funnily enough, are American. And so they impart a vanilla-y coconut flavour into the wine. Yeah, 6 months at most, but often no oak at all. What does that say about the grapes themselves? These will be the lightest of the Riojan grapes from the harvest that year. So they'll be the lightest in fruity flavour. If you want an easy-going, easy-drinking Rioja, this is the area you need to look for. Next up is Crianza. So Crianza, that's what we're drinking tonight, guys. Rioja Crianza is the words that you'll see written on the side of the bottle. As you can see, oh, is that right? As you can see, we've got 12 months of oak aging. Now, 12 months in barrels is the legal requirement. It can be more, but it can be many years. This one we're drinking is 2017, so it will have had 12 months in a barrel, but the rest of the time in the bottle. So if you see a Rioja Crianza with like 2017 written on it, don't think it's been in the barrel for all of that time. It will have only had 12 months, maybe up to 18 months in the oak barrel, but the rest of the time was just spent in the bottle. More oaky, spicy flavours, more vanilla, more stuff like that going on. The grapes themselves, in order to take that time in the oak barrel, will have to be more full-bodied, more fruity, higher acidity and higher tannin, so a bit more guts to them. Next up, there we go, Reserva. So Rioja Reserva. If you see that written on the side of the bottle, you are in the expensive bit of the supermarket. Move away, move away. But yes, these guys are 18 months or more in an oak barrel. Can be up to 3 years old in terms of in the bottle, but 18 months in oak. Super spicy, super vanilla-y, cinnamon, baking spices, woody flavors going on in there. These guys are the most full-bodied grapes as well. High acid, full-bodied, lots of flavor, dark, rich flavors. Very, very robust. We're also getting into the big money. And last of all, Gran Reserva. Gran Reserva is the last one. So if you're in the supermarket and you're looking at a Rioja Gran Reserva, it has to, by law, be 5 years old or more and had at least 2 of those years in the barrel. So lots more oaky flavors, lots more spiciness, lots of that vanilla, cinnamon and bacon spices. And these grapes are the most high quality of the harvest, so they've got a high acidity and high tannin to cope with 2 years in an oak barrel. You know, sort of the barrel aging will wear away at those flavors, so they have to be very high at the beginning. Very full-bodied red wine. So if you are looking for something that is an absolute beast of a red wine, you know, something you can pair with a steak or roast beef, a Reserva, Gran Reserva is the area you want to be in. A little bit more moderate is Crianza, and then the easy drinking is the generic Joven. And of course, that all has a reflection on price. And so your generic Jovens are going to be the cheaper. The Crianzas a little bit more. Your Reservas and Gran Reservas really can go for super high prices. And that is the complete guide to understanding Rioja, whether you be in the supermarket, in the restaurant, or on your favourite online wine retailer. Look at that.
There we go. Look at that. Well done. Well, apologies about the mic volume there. It was fine in rehearsals, but hey. Right, so 1 through 4 now on order. Another great show. You need to push to get on Saturday Kitchen.
Saturday Kitchen?
Maybe some jazzy shirts.
I'm going to take Ollie's job.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Slips down the throat like a moist slug, said someone else.
A moist slug.
Yeah, that wine.
People talking about the mustiness. I agree with you. The oak aging here, it has given a little bit of a musty book flavour to it. I like it, but not everybody does.
Quinta de Lorna appears to be out of stock. I will have a quick look at that because it shouldn't be. So
that'll be my mistake.
Give us 10 minutes to just fix that. It won't take a minute. As usual, cheers. Great night as usual. Off to the chiller cabinet now for a cold lager or a bottle of cask ale.
Oh. Beer after wine.
Yeah, beer then wine. You'll be fine. Wine then beer, you'll feel queer. That's the old adage.
I couldn't do it.
Well, we've done it. We have done it a few times, and I've always felt rough the next day.
Yeah, no, I couldn't.
I think it comes down to volume, but hey, are we doing a wine of the night poll? Yeah, go on then. Wine of the night. Are you ready? Let us see. What's your wine of the night? Was it white 1, 2, 3 or red 4, 5, 6? Which was your fave? Let us know. Poll is live. Oh, 3. There we go. Red 4. So the Funk Steel getting a bit of love there. The Austrian. Oh,
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm just trying to change the stock on the.
I can do it on here in moments.
Okay, I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, leave it to me.
White 3, rose.
The rosé.
The rosé.
Yeah.
Love for the rosé. Oh, hang on. Yep, still love for the rosé.
Yeah.
The reds doing okay. Oh, red 5 creeping up there. White 1 coming out now. Oh, it's all coming through now.
I think that, I mean, you know, I think the rosé is definitely. Well, we know. We just know from the way the market is at the minute that style of blushy rosé is just, you know, so popular right now.
For sure. I mean, if I could urge you guys to take one thing away from tonight, it's don't overpay for Provence Rosé.
Yeah.
You know, we've got a couple of different options in the store, but even if it's not us, even if it's Aldi or whatever, you know, if you get your pale pink rosé from somewhere other than Provence, they are fantastic. I certainly enjoy them. We're going to enjoy them loads, I imagine, over the bank holiday weekend. You know, but yeah, Provence, it's all about brand and label. Just like champagne, you know, it's all about brand and label. Funnily enough, talking of Jubilee weekends and bank holidays, May sale. Yes,
the May sale is on until Tuesday. And so, yeah, 31st, Tuesday 31st. So trying to make a bit of room in here for a load of new wine that we've got coming in the next couple of months. So the wines we have listed in our sale, there's absolutely nothing wrong with them. They're just wines that we've done on these kind of things a few months ago, or that have been in subscription cases, that kind of stuff. And we are just marking them down and making some space. So
30% off.
Grab yourself a bargain from the sale. It's on the landing page. You'll see sale category. You can have a little look there. Grab yourself some bargains. If you order by midnight on Tuesday, we should be okay. Well, don't order by midnight on Tuesday. Order by lunchtime on Tuesday. Then I can get it out and delivered on Wednesday, because Thursday's a bloody bank holiday.
What is going on?
What is going on? Well, Liz, isn't it? Bless her.
What's going on? I don't know anything about it.
Nothing in the news about it. No, so yeah, if you pop your order in by the afternoon on Tuesday, so you've got all weekend and Monday, Tuesday to pop an order in, we can get it to you for bank holiday weekend, and you can keep yourself well stocked and well oiled. Jane and Nigel, can you remind us what the other two blends in that one were, please? The Rioja, I think the other two grapes that were in
90% Tempranillo, 5% Ganacha, and 5% Mazuelo or Carignan. That is unusual for Rioja, guys. It's usually a more even split between Tempranillo, Ganacha, and Graziano. But yeah, mostly Tempranillo with Ganacha and Carignan.
Someone's really trying to get Quinta de Lorna. It's still out of stock. Yeah, I'm on here now. I'm doing it. I'm doing it
now.
Phil.
Okay.
Phil. Yeah, great. Well done. So I'm updating this now. Let's just have a little look-see here. Here we go.
Let's all wait whilst Dan puts Quinta de Lorna.
Yeah, let's just put the pressure up. What wines?
Don't forget to use your £10 voucher, guys.
Yes.
This person obviously is eager to do so.
They are in the box as well.
You are momentarily going to get an email. It's all queued up and ready to go out. Technology these days. You're momentarily going to get an email that tells you all of the wines again from tonight, so that you can buy the ones that are your favourites. Don't forget to use your £10 voucher. We are now, for those guys who've been with us loads, thank you for sticking with us despite everything. Thank you. We are now printing your voucher codes physically on a card in all of your boxes, so you don't need to wait to be emailed that code or anything like that. It's there. It's physically in your box, so don't go looking for it anywhere else. Use that £10 voucher to buy your favourites from tonight. On Sunday, here's the peek behind the curtain, you've got an email already queued up, and it's going to remind you to do 3 things. It's going to remind you that the wines are there still and you should buy your favourites, so don't forget, bank holiday weekend. it's going to remind you that you can subscribe to Try Before You Buy. If you subscribe to this event every last Friday of the month, you get 10% off, so it's only going to cost you $17.99 instead of $19.99. But also you don't have to worry about it. We'll just, renew it each month and send it out to you. You can cancel anytime, so there's no pressure there. And then the third thing is to refer to a friend. If you tell a friend about Smash Grapes, if you take the little referral code, which is printed at the bottom of the email, copy it, paste it, put it on your social, Facebook, WhatsApp, whatever you want to do, tweet it, whatever you want to do. If that person uses that code, they get £20 off. That basically means they can do this for free, and you get £20 off your next order as well. Please, 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 please find one person that is an equal alcoholic to you and refer them. That is the way we grow our business. That is the way that we are able to continue. If we didn't have referrals, we wouldn't be able to continue. We want people to spread the word about Smash Grapes. If you're new to this, hopefully it's been something different. Hopefully it's been a new experience in terms of wine tasting. Hopefully it's maybe broken down some preconceptions about wine tasting, and hopefully you've enjoyed it, and you can tell a friend about it, but benefit from that as well.
Quinta Alorna is now available.
Go, 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 go.
Go, go, go. Right, I have a quick question, and I thought about this before, and I don't know why I didn't ask. Now, all juice is clear. Yeah, you've said this. So, what red wines do you also see as white? Because I don't see a white Shiraz. I haven't seen a white Shiraz. I know we get like Grenache and Grenache Blanc. Are they different grapes?
They're different grapes.
Different grapes. So, like, why would have you ever tried a white wine made from a red grape?
Orange wine.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, yeah.
I thought that was just white wine that they just put the skins in with.
No, orange wine can be a red white juice with just a little bit of the skin and the tannins. Yeah, but no. So you wouldn't take a Shiraz and just make white wine from it. No.
Would it just be not?
It just wouldn't. You wouldn't have the acidity because Shiraz needs heat to ripen, and then as a result the acidity would be gone and it would just not taste very nice at all. So yeah, red grapes obviously are built for surviving the heat and warmer climates, so it wouldn't work. But orange wines, if anybody's seen orange wines, are these white wines that have a little bit of a red wine bitterness to them. We've tried a lot. We're keen to get on board with the trend.
I'd love to. I'd love to get on board, but it's not. Anonymous in the chat is keen to try a non-vegan wine.
A non-vegan? What? They just want to try a non-vegan.
I want to drink wine that's not vegan. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to find. It is tough to find these days. Your best bet is to go with some of your more classic heritage areas, old fashioned. So yeah, your French,
really old-fashioned Italian. Yeah, you'll find it Barolo and stuff like that.
Yeah. Let's have a look. Donna's not made it to Red 6. She's asleep on the couch. Nice. That's what doing a bottle in 80, 90 minutes will do to you. Right, there we go. A quick look. We did that. We've done that. Could you just eat a hot cross bun now? How could you? It's not even Easter. No, I mean,
I could, but I'm not gonna.
No. There we go. Great night. Looking forward to the next one. Have to subscribe. Yes, love it. I can't find a vegan wine. Guess I'll just have it with a steak. Yes. What wine with hot cross buns?
Oof, that is a good question. A hot cross bun is very sweet, isn't it?
It is.
So you need a sweet wine. My favourite sweet wine at the moment, I absolutely love. Bear with me, just bear with me. Sweet sherry. Okay, I'm not talking about Harvey's Bristol Cream or anything like that. Proper Spanish sherry is an art form. It's fantastic. It's better than port in my opinion. It's absolutely brilliant. PX sherry is the sweetest level. Anything that says Pedro Jimenez, which is PX sherry, is the sweetest level. And it's like Christmas in a glass. It's liquid Christmas pudding. It's got all of those sort of, cinnamony, raisiny flavors, and it is sweet, and it's like 20%, and it is bloody lovely. Vinsanto from Italy is not dissimilar. Yeah, anything like that really. Vinsanto and a hot cross bun. That'd be good if you poured it over.
Drizzled.
Yeah,
drizzled. Nice, very nice. Well, there you go. This was our May Try Before You Buy wine tasting. Our next one is the 24th of June, the last Friday of the month.
Well remembered.
There we go.
Early.
That's early. It is early, but it's because 7 days later than that doesn't exist. So it is the last Friday. It's an early Friday. It's about as early as the last Friday can be. I think there's 5 in this year. It's a very early Friday year, 2022. Anyways, that's completely off tangent. Yep, Friday the 24th of June. We'll see you there. Tell your friends. Remember, they get to do one of these and just pay the postage if they use your referral code. And you then get a little voucher that sits in your account. So, hey, you get one as well. We're not leaving you out. Right. That's it. The emails are on their way. The wines will be with you. Keep those cards. Remember what they are. Remember, you've got until Tuesday afternoon to order in time for the bank holiday weekend. But until next month, we will see you. Oh, you might see some of our videos if you go and pick up one of those tasting kits that we're launching.
Please do.
Please do. Please tell your friends. Father's Day coming up. Good gift. Otherwise, good little thing to just treat yourself. Random Friday night in.
Why not?
Right. But that's it from us. Thanks a lot. We'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.
Cheers,
Bye.
guys. Thank you. Good
Bye.
night.